Hey everybody, how's it going? We are here with a timeless reading. The first card that we have out is the Hermit. And 10 of Cups. And 6 of Pentacles. Queen of Wands. Ten of Wands, Page of Wands. Starting off with Hermit puts us in a position where there's stuff that we're thinking about, and we can feel like we need to clear our head, we need to clear our mind, or more accurately, we need to clear away anything that would be getting in the way of us seeing things clearly, feeling things clearly, understanding things clearly. Hermit can be a time when we're looking for answers as well, just spending time reflecting. It can be a time of review. Usually when we have Hermit, it's a time when anything that would distract us from figuring this out or from reflecting on this, it can be a time where you sort of like get rid of the distractions so you can really look into this. When we have 10 of Cups, you can be asking yourself questions that have to do with your happiness, questions that have to do with your fulfillment, questions that have to do with reciprocity. Can be questions or just answers that you're trying to find about your values, about what would bring a sense of peace into your life, a sense of feeling settled into your life, a sense of joy into your life. Then also too, having Queen of Wands, this can be about you and yourself. It can be about you expressing yourself. It can be about your creativity, what you have to offer. Because the Queen of Wands is connected with fire, fire has to do with our life force. Fire has to do with our energy. Think of Sun and Mars. Sun is about our soul and what our soul feels called towards, and it's also about our vitality and our life force, our joy, our happiness, what we feel happy when we're doing because it feels like it's part of our purpose, it's part of our path, our nature as well, what's organic to us. You think about Mars, and this is about change and taking action and vigor and a sense of passion for the purpose of the Queen of Wands. And so you can be asking yourself questions about what you feel passionate about. What is something that would allow you to feel stuff in your life that allows you to feel inspired, that allows you to feel like you're actually doing what makes you happy or experiencing what leaves you feeling a sense of fulfillment, peace, and joy within your life. Like things are in right order. And there can be questions about stuff that you're figuring out, like equations that you're solving having to do with what you give, having to do with what you receive, where you give your energy to, where you get energy from, what is providing you with substance within your life, if anything at all. And it can be a time when you realize what types of interactions you enjoy being within. And it doesn't specifically have to be with other people. It can be like when I pick up a pen and a piece of paper and I start writing, I like the feeling of that interaction of being able to express myself through those words, or taking a brush to a canvas and the feeling that comes when you're doing something that you love. Now, having 10 of Wands and having Page of Wands can indicate that there is a path that you want to be on or that you are on, that there's a sense of passion that you feel for that, or a draw that you feel to be walking that way. Simultaneously with the 10 of Wands, it can be feeling stressful for you right now. can be feeling like it's taking a lot of energy or like there's a lot to do, and that can sometimes bring up questions for us. The questions. Having Hermit and having Seven of Cups feels like trying to make sense of how you're feeling. How you're feeling, what you're thinking, like what are those feelings, and then what does that mean? Assigning meaning to it all, like wanting to make sense of things at a time when there can be a lack of clarity. I think that this specifically has to do with if you have different options in front of you and you have to pick like a number of things and not all of the things, what do you really vibrate with? What really resonates with you? On an internal level, what do you feel connected with? Okay. How do you find joy after feeling happy with something and then having that not be a thing anymore? This can be a time where you're thinking about endings. It can be a time when you're thinking about changes. It can be a time when you feel confused about what your values are, what you're looking for, what your needs are, and it's a time when you're making sense of what that is. I also get the sense too that previously there were maybe different needs that you had. There were maybe different things that brought joy and happiness into your life. You can feel like at this point, did you know yourself so well previously? Is it more so that you've learned from those things? Is it that you've changed? Is it that you've realized that some stuff that you thought would bring you joy didn't actually, or you thought it would be a certain way and then it didn't really pan out that way? It feels like a whole mix of that. Like maybe your values used to be a little bit different. They're changing now and you're figuring out what they are. Your needs maybe were a bit different. They're changing now, they're evolving now, and you're figuring out what they are. There were things before that maybe you thought, I'm going to be happy with that, and then you end up following that path, and then something still you feel disconnected, or maybe you did feel happy with something and now there's that feeling of it's not the same anymore. So there's this transitionary energy that I'm seeing here where it feels like there is a shift that's happening spiritually and psychologically when it comes to what you want to be involved within. Like you can be happy in some instances, and then in other instances it may not be so clear to you, and that's also something that's being figured out. Maybe before there were exchanges that you were like, no, this works for me, I'm happy to be doing this, and now because of a spiritual energetic change that you're going through, a psychological shift that you're going through within your life right now, when you're put back in those same situations, you're left wanting, like something just it's not resonating in the same way anymore. So this is about your self-expression. This is about you finding yourself. And I think too that when we have the Queen of Wands, this is about our authenticity, us being truthful within our nature, us honoring ourselves and really what we want. And I do get the sense that there's something with this Page of Wands that feels like I'm feeling called to explore something right now. I'm being called to maybe step onto a path or to move a certain way, but there's stress that is connected with the idea of me doing that. I think because of the labor of purging here more than anything. And this can also be a time where if you are caught in cycles, which it's very easy for us to be, where there is a maybe honoring of like what other people think of you and what they think that you want and how you had been showing up before, even if that's not a truth for you any longer, not what you want any longer, it can be a time where you're going to have to put yourself first in this way. And that can be a time that's very challenging because it kind of asks you to step into your courage and to do this for you. And if you're sort of like finding your voice and stepping into your energy here, stepping into your self-expression with the fire, it can be a time where the old narratives and the old habits are challenged, the old situations, the old relationships, the old contracts are being challenged. Contracts, like, sure, literally, but also can be from an energetic standpoint of like I wake up in the morning and I hold the door for this person and I always bring like an extra coffee for that person over there, and maybe something's going on where like you don't want to get coffees anymore. Maybe you start wanting to drink something else. And so like that something has sort of come to an end, but there may still be that expectation on you to deliver what you've been delivering, to show up with. And so you can feel like there is stress with you sort of going away, that you know you're being called towards this Page of Wands. You know that you're being called. Simultaneously, the releasing of the old stuff can be what is feeling like it makes this a little bit more complicated here. I do feel too like before there were things that you were like, no, this is good for me. Like I show up here and then they show up and everything is good. And now that's going through a change because your values are changing. Like before it could have been that you put, we have Virgo and we have Scorpio here. Before you could have put an emphasis on, I don't know, maybe there was a certain activity that you put emphasis on before that. Now when you're involved in that, it's just not, you're left wanting. There's something that there are needs that's not meeting. And so you know that you're being called. And yeah, it can just be a confusing time because of that. Like, what does that mean? What am I supposed to do now? Should I just stay within this, or should I make some type of change? And what even would that change look like? And how do I stop doing this if I've been doing this? But also, too, I want to prioritize my pursuit of happiness. And I know that I'm going to feel best within my life when I'm doing things in a way that honors and is aligned with my values. But maybe I'm not even sure what those things are and how am I supposed to figure that out. So this feels kind of like a little bit of a thing that's going on here within your life where this is something that you're making sense of. And I do think too that things that may have worked, or like stuff that like maybe before you were like, what I need from a relationship is somebody that texts me all day, regardless of what we're talking about. Maybe now you need something where you're like, it can be like less frequent, but I want somebody that really asks me how I'm doing, and somebody that shares with me about like their real feelings. Like there can be stuff like that that's happening where there's like you're going deeper into things with Scorpio here. There's a like I'm finding myself here. I'm learning more about myself. Scorpio is a sign of self-discovery. And when we do that self-discovery, it also means too that we're learning about those around us as well, as within, so without. And also too, having both Hermit and Scorpio, these are cards where there's going to be an inner investigation that's happening. These are archetypes where that's what's going to be taking place. And so when you're going within and you're doing this inner investigation, you're putting the pieces together and figuring out what they add up to. And that's what you're in the process of doing right now. I do definitely get a shift within your life that you're experiencing. I also think too that there's a part of you that may be like, why can't I just be happy with the stuff like how it was going before? And that can also challenge us. If you're no longer like happy or content with stuff as it was, there can be a part of you that's having a hard time with that. Like, why couldn't I just stay feeling happy with that? Or why can't I just still be okay with this? But you're not anymore. And so coming to terms with that is also going to be a surrendering process. So you can be dealing with that. Like, why am I feeling that way? Why am I attached to the way that I was feeling before? Why am I feeling like I'm losing something when I'm getting more clarity about what my values actually are? Why do I not feel happy with that anymore? What does that even mean for me? What's going to change now? It's kind of that whole, like, you're just processing a whole lot of stuff right now. And then you can feel confused too about, like, where am I supposed to go then? If this isn't fitting the same way that it was before and something else is going to fit better for me, what is that then? Where am I supposed to go? It feels like you're like tapping the compass waiting for it to tell you the direction, but it hasn't yet. And so you know that it's going to be telling you something, and you know that there's somewhere that you're going to be going, but it hasn't given you the direction yet. So you're sort of just standing there with all of this. This looks like it's stressful for social reasons. Like, there can be a relationship or multiple relationships that are connected with this. It can be your interpersonal relationships in general that are connected with this. The people that you care about. This can create dynamics of stress, social stress, especially when there are expectations of, like, oh, you belong with this group, and so you do the things that we do here, and before you're feeling happy with that, like feeling a sense of belonging, now there are changes that are happening and you feel like, I don't know if I totally fit in that box anymore. And so there's like a bit of a migration that's happening. And because of that, there's going to be that when you are sort of individuating, and this even feels like you've individuated and then found a sense of belonging, and now you're individuating again at this point in your life. Like, what's going to happen then? Like, what is that process then? Like, maybe this person's mad at me now because I don't want to hang out on Thursday nights anymore. It can just be this thing that starts happening where there's a social shifting that's occurring within your life. There's an interpersonal shifting that's occurring within your life. Some of you, even this can be like, primarily I've been hanging out with this group of people, but now I have, there's somebody that I'm dating, and so I'm spending more time with my significant other and maybe less time with my friends, and now there's like something else that's being incorporated into the mix. Or maybe you were dating someone before and now you're not, or maybe you want to belong to a group of friends, or something shifting with the